let's talk about Not Reached by the Frost. Uh, I wanted to speak to you about this play. It has a prologue, an epilogue, and then it's divided into three acts. This is one of the more interesting plays too, and it seems to be the most self-aware of those I've read thus far, except for some of your absurdist plays. Although this does seem to utilize absurdist elements, but it is the most obvious in its use of memory too. It's divided into the three sections. One is what's his name, Henrik Ludwig or something.
Yeah. Lundquist.
Okay, and then there's Fantasia and Ward, and then there is Danny Wagner, and then Philip Collins, and your use of names here too, where he's referred to by that singer from Genesis. Speak a little bit about this play too. Who was Fantasia? I couldn't really place her within your corpus.
She was a woman that. Well, it's interesting that this play comes back. Is this coming right after the Emmy play? Her mother loved me too, in a bizarre way. I had met. Well, I'd known the real life Fantasia for several years in the Minneapolis art scene. I asked her out once or twice, and she declined. And I was like, okay, whatever, she ended up becoming basically a typical MFA hack. She's a mediocre writer and this and what. But then I met her mother. Believe it or not, I met her mother at this St. Paul library where this bad academic was giving classes, and I so-called stole the class because I would point out things that were wrong in their interpretation. Like, for example, in this class, this hack was talking about Supermarket in California by Ginsberg as if it was some great play about high existential morals, when it's really just Ginsberg going to fuck Whitman up the ass. And when I point out these things, the class sort of was like, yeah, that makes sense. That is pretty funny and whatnot. And they would then, when we'd read a poem, they would say, well, Danny, what do you think of this? Instead of going to the academic. And one of the people that was in this class was the Fantasia's mother. And I talked with her, and I found out, I said, oh, you're Fantasia's mother? I know Fantasia. She's a very nice woman. I asked her out a couple times. She was like, you asked my daughter out? And she said, I've got to talk to her. And so a week or two after the classes ended, I forget the actual mechanics. Either I gave the mother my phone number and Fantasia called me, or the mother maybe called me and gave her the number or something like that and told her that I would call her. And we went out and we were involved for, a lot of these things, little flings, lasted anywhere between 2 and 6 weeks. Before I met Jessica, twice I hit maybe the 8-week mark with someone. The person I was longest involved with was the Eve Green character from The Second Woman. But that was maybe about 3.5 months worth of dating over a 6+ month period, because she was constantly in and out of the city. With this Fantasia, we went out. We had a brief little fling, I guess, but she was someone who I knew she just couldn't connect with people emotionally, and men emotionally. There was just something not right about her. But the mother loved me, just like Emmy did. I mean, the mother was. I mean, I have the scene where Danny's going over to the mother's for dinner or something, and the mother is practically, wanting to have Danny and Fantasia, plot out when they're going to have kids.
Well, as I mentioned before, I was discussing this scene, and that scene is so absurd, especially when it gets to the point where she's wanting to know the exact details of when they fucked.
Yeah.
But because it's played within a memory, you can sort of accept it. Speak a little bit about that element, the kind of the eschewing of reality and memory.
Well, I mean, the real life mother wasn't necessarily as blatant. She definitely wanted us to work out. And I don't know, I think I might have seen her once or twice at an arts event over the years between then and when I met Jessica, the mother, that is. I mean, that's one of the things. Yeah, I mean, but she was definitely nudging there. and the thing is, there are mothers like that, and I could be wrong, but I think maybe in real life the mother was originally from New York, which may have been one of the reasons she liked me. I didn't add that in the play, but I think that might have been a factor too in why she liked me. That I was outspoken, that I knew all about poetry more than this hack academic in that class, and it is what it is. And when we see the other two men that she was involved with, the older guy and then the young, you know, brain dead guy. There's no wonder that the mother, probably saw her daughter date this string of men that weren't right for her, were too old, too stupid, and whatnot. And then here she's claiming she's into the arts, Fantasia that is, and the mother says, "Oh, well, here's a guy who knows more about the arts than you do, and he went to college, and he's kind of, I guess she thought I was kind of attractive and whatnot, and so that was the whole basis of the play. And
When we were talking about grotesques too, it just came to me that Philip Collins is sort of a grotesque as well, and even there's a difference between your grotesques too, in that Emmy is abrasive, but she's also very entertaining. He's obnoxious. He's an irritating presence throughout this. When he's talking about his collector's edition or special edition of Bit von Rheingold's films, and then when he's singing that ridiculous song about how Fantasia loves his cock, that's the sort of difference in comedy, in that his is more obnoxious, whereas Emmy's is more abrasive.
Yeah, but he since he's not explored to the depth that Emmy is, as I said, I think when Emmy dies, if someone was watching this play not knowing anything, the scene where Emmy dies and George doesn't go to the funeral is going to be oddly touching. Emmy does evoke, I think, emotions that a character like Phil simply can't, because he's in a sense a stereotype. But I mean, I hate to use the term stereotype. I mean, he's a shallow person. I think we see a bit of his, a bit of around him, and we're talking about Phil, and then Laura walks as Fantasia, unseen by Phil, and Fantasia again has her sort of girlfriend to pawn things off on, and then we sort of end up, I think, with all three of the men together: Danny, Phil, and Henrik. And Henrik is very much a Bergmanian type character. He's got the name.
Reminded me of the Max von Sydow character in Hannah and Her Sisters.
I was actually thinking more of in Another Woman, the older guy that Marion is involved with. But I mean, yeah, you could either one will work. I mean,
yeah, just the mentor type. Whereas Danny, he has no passion too. I rewatched that film too a while back, and I noticed that the character in Hannah and Her Sisters may have some intellect, but he has no emotional depth. This is why he's sort of he's dense to Lee's affairs, and he doesn't even know how to approach her emotionally. He can only touch her on the intellectual level.
Yeah. And this, I will say, just technically, this is, I think, the first play where instead of a blackout, I end with whiteouts. That the lights come up and sort of, there should be intense light. And I did that not just to be different, but there should be a kind of sense that this isn't gloomy, that this is just going on. And so I think a whiteout achieves that a bit more than necessarily a blackout does.
Just give me a second here, Dan. I'm going to take this phone out of my room.
Okay.
Okay, I'm back.
Okay.
So I think we spoke enough about that play.
This Living Hand is the next one chronologically.
Let me just pull that one up. So this Living Hand is the next play that we're going to speak about. This reminded me of I Other Than Human and what was it? The Honey of Common Summer. And that it's another one of those plays that I can't say that I emotionally connect with, but certainly I intellectually can appreciate. It comes from the title, at least, comes from a John Keats poem. This is a similar thing too, where you're reusing phrases from other poems or other works of art. Are you going to get out of that tactic too when you go to your historical plays, or are you going to continue to use poems and lines to?
I mean, if I'm doing a play on Genghis Khan, I'm probably not going to use one of my poems. But I may use classical music or something, or maybe a poem from someone else. I may use, who is it? Coleridge had Kubla Khan. If I do the Kubla Khan play, but I mean, those are things that I'll work out as I go. I evolve. I was just when I was pulling the stuff for these selected books that I'm going to hopefully release once I learn how to format the shit on Amazon. Hopefully that'll I'll learn different stuff, and I'll get different ideas for techniques from doing things, and you evolve just as my writing evolved from short stories to memoirs to the essays to the total immersion. I then to Vincetti Brothers and on, as each of those big books slightly it changes, so that when you get 3 or 4 books between, say Vincetti Brothers and my Super 7 book, there is a significant difference in the writing style. It's not a huge change, but there is a significant change, and you can see, and in similar ways, even in these 28 plays, another reason that even if I didn't have some things going on in my personal life to slow down and do things, is I didn't want to repeat myself. I didn't just want to do. I was getting, in a sense, I was getting so compressed doing. I ended up doing plays shorter and shorter, that the last play, the 28th play that I did, that took a couple of weeks, I ballooned out again to 41,000 words or something, what it is. So there's this constant, like with an accordion, you go in and out, and you try to mush it together in slightly different ways to get slightly different sounds. So you have to keep experimenting. If I do my 45th and my 72nd and my 105th play, hopefully you'll see different things that in each of them I would not have been doing in the previous number that I just mentioned, that I'll be doing.
The use when you mentioned that, I wanted to do a brief interlude too, where you've sent out these selected stories, prose, essays, etc., and you can sort of see that development too that you were alluding to there.
Well, Jessica said that's a good idea too. That someone who wants to look at my stuff, if they read one of these selected books, most of them I picked 7 books so far. I'll put them in chronological order and whatnot. You can see. I mean, you'd have to be an idiot not to see that. And I think that's a good thing, because it says, if you read a Norwegian in the Family, or one of my Elias Walker trilogy books, the heroic trilogy, whatever you want to call it, or the genre trilogy, you read them. It's not like, oh, he just came out of nowhere. No, you can see the hard work and the playing with styles. These short stories, you can see, for example, I had my American Lace and American Embroidery stories, and then I had my 21 Conversations and 21 More Conversations. The stories that I picked, all of those 2 books are where I had the stories of the early books, and then the later books, American Embroidery and 21 More Conversations, I took the same stories and told them from a different character's perspective. So I'm always playing and doing with things. This is why my poems are so diverse. It's like, I don't want to repeat myself. Why would I want to repeat myself? If I already did something and did it well, did it excellently or greatly, why would I want to repeat myself?